strip the shelves of everything within a matter of seconds.
A major organized retail theft crew busted by Bellevue police, accused of stealing more than $500,000 worth of luxury apparel and activewear from Lululemon and other retailers all over Western Washington and Northwest Oregon. At least 42 stores targeted. Good evening and welcome to the Spotlight. I'm David Rose. And tonight, a major win for retailers, law enforcement, and shoppers fed up with the prolific thieves caught on camera stripping the shelves. They stroll in like regular shoppers, then scramble out lugging bags filled and arms full of stolen goods.
These ladies would come in, they would immediately select a number of items, high-value clothing from different retailers, Lululemon, Nordstrom, Macy's, and then they would immediately exit and leave.
In court documents, Bellevue Detective Jeff Christensen detailed their crime spree, hitting Lululemon stores from Bellingham to Bellevue and from Tukwila to Tacoma, as well as stores throughout the greater Portland area, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of activewear.
We're talking about over $500,000 worth of merchandise. And what that really translates to is increased costs for consumers.
Bellevue police say thieves often sell the merchandise for 30 cents on the dollar.
Oftentimes, the suspects would wear burkas or other baggy clothing that they were able to either hide the items in, bring reusable bags, even garbage bags that they would fill completely full with these items.
Sometimes doing it with regular shoppers just feet away. With every theft, loss prevention officers at Lululemon documented the video, working closely with Bellevue police to identify 3 suspects. 2 of them were arrested last year in Glendale, California. 18-year-old Reality Levins from Renton and 24-year-old Janeice Downs, who along with 26-year-old Memory Yearby are accused of stealing $30,000 worth of high-end bags. On Tuesday, Bellevue police arrested Downs and her mother at their home on 223rd Place in Kent. Detectives say they located clothing worn during the thefts, 1 of the cars used, and 3 assault-style rifles.
What is interesting to note is that the suspects are actually convicted felons, so they're prohibited from possessing firearms.
When Janeice, who also calls herself Punchy, made her first appearance in court, the prosecutor detailed multiple counts of organized retail theft.
The first one will be August 8, 2023, at the Bellevue location for Lululemon in the amount of $4,348.
The state asking for $750,000 bail, arguing that she has multiple prior convictions and is a flight risk, pointing out she had a plane ticket to Arizona for the same day as her arrest.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a case of Dumb and Dumber, a couple of ghetto organized retail thieves who are now finding out once again after getting out of prison for organized retail theft. Now, this story I covered a couple years ago. When I stumbled across this story today, I was like, this story looks very familiar. I think I know these individuals. And lo and behold, I had covered this story about 2 or 3 years ago when it initially happened. And now they're back to scamming and stealing, okay? And these individuals are so dumb that this time they got caught because they decided to post a TikTok video basically bragging about being scammers. Again, this is after they got out of prison and decided to go back to a life of crime, right? We're talking about a mother-daughter duo here, okay? And I want to talk about it because, again, stories like this are kind of wild to me, right? That stuff like this happens. But again, it happens because you let these people out of prison in the first place, right? When individuals prove to be career criminals, right, that they can't stop committing crimes, then they should probably just stay in jail. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Prolific organized retail thieves in Western Washington is facing new charges. Janeice Downs, a.k.a. Janeice Smith, a.k.a. Punchy, is back in jail after just getting released from prison in January. Bellevue police say one of the best clues came from a TikTok video made to Young Miami's viral song Spin Dat about boosting and scamming. Bellevue police say this video shows Janeice Wiley holding 2 stolen Louis Vuitton purses. It was posted 5 days after detectives say her daughter, Janeice Downs, and an unidentified suspect stole the bags worth more than $7,000 from Nordstrom in downtown Seattle. And 2 days after Downs showed the purses on her Instagram account.
For us, she's a prolific, organized career theft criminal, and so we're very familiar with her.
That's because Bellevue PD's Special Enforcement Team busted Downs and her mom 2 years ago for a major organized retail crime spree. They were accused of stealing more than $500,000 worth of Lululemon clothing. Downs pleaded guilty to 6 counts of organized retail theft. She was sentenced to 33 months in prison with 501 days credit for time served and was released in January. Bellevue PD Captain Landon Barnwell says just 4 months later, Downs was back to her old ways.
Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. This is just, what in the ghetto? This is disgusting, right? Stomach hanging out the shirt, bruh. Stomach hanging out the shirt. At least, you know, most women who have a stomach sagging like that, right? Most of them, for the most part, again, they know to tuck it in, right? To tuck it in. But they don't care at all, right? They just got it hanging out. Wow. Wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Later, Downs was back to her old ways.
You would think that, you know, after the, what she experienced in 2024, that, hey, that maybe, she would change what she's doing. But again, clearly she hasn't chosen to do that.
Court documents show Bellevue PD Detective Jeff Christensen recognized Downs in a bulletin sent out by Tukwila Police showing thieves stealing almost $4,000 worth of fragrances from Macy's. See the shower cap she's wearing? He had a similar photo of her from his case 2 years ago. Working with their regional law enforcement partners, he says he then identified Downs in similar thefts at the Macy's in Tacoma and the downtown Seattle Nordstrom.
People don't just commit crimes in one location, right? I mean, especially when it comes to, the retail theft related crimes, right? They bounce around to many of the retailers in this entire area.
In the Nordstrom theft, detectives say surveillance video shows Downs wearing a burqa as a disguise. Detectives say the surveillance video shows how Downs and her accomplice cooperated to steal the purses, distracting the clerk by asking to see other bags on the shelves behind him. When he turned his back, watch as the accomplice smoothly slips the handles of one of the purses over her arm. After he shows them a second bag, he puts it back on the shelf. When he went to the front sales counter, police say Downs walked over, made sure he wasn't looking, and grabbed the purse, then held it down low on the right side of her body, opposite over where the clerk was standing. Her accomplice then moves over next to her, takes the handbag, and exits the store with both of the stolen purses. A few seconds later, Downs follows her out.
I honestly don't understand how the clerk didn't notice that, right? I mean, I guess they were kind of slick about it, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, they took the handbag. I mean, I don't understand how you don't notice the fact that the handbag was gone, right? That she just kind of slipped it. But, hey, ultimately, at the end of the day, they ended up getting caught despite the burqa disguise, which, by the way, I was like, well... if this is what thieves are doing, right? If they are, running around in burkas, right? Should we ban these burkas, right? Right? Should we ban burkas since thieves are using burkas in order to steal, right? The left, they demand that we ban masks after demanding that we wear masks during COVID, right? Because ICE agents wear masks. They're like, no. ICE agents can't wear masks because, they need their identity to be public, right? The public needs to know their identity so that liberals can dox them and harass them and threaten them and stuff like that. So it's just funny because for as sophisticated as these criminals are, right? Again, you're wearing a burqa, right? You put on a whole disguise, pretending to be a Muslim woman in order to steal. You get caught because of social media because you couldn't help but brag about stealing and scamming on social media. It's kind of wild.
On June 12th, Bellevue police arrested Downs and her mom. Detectives located them in the parking lot of Westfield Southcenter Mall. Court documents note that Downs was wearing the same burqa, black-colored sandals, and her white-painted toes matched her appearance from the Nordstrom theft.
We will hold you accountable, and we're not going to tolerate people that commit crimes here in our community.
Ma'am, is your true and correct name Janeice Smith, aka Janeice Downs?
They covered up everything except the identifying features, right? The white toenails, right? They covered up everything. Like, if you gonna wear a disguise like that, you should probably cover up everything, right? I'm just saying. Again, I just find these criminals to be so, again, dumb despite the efforts at sophistication.
Downs.
We'll stipulate to name and date of birth for purposes of arraignment only.
In court, King County prosecutors charged Downs with organized retail theft in the first degree. Her defense attorney asked the judge not to allow our camera to show her client's face.
And I do want to ask the court to not allow the media to film in order to preserve Ms. Smith's right to a fair trial. Our position is that allowing the media to film increases the likelihood of tainting a jury pool if this were to go to trial. Of course, the jury would be instructed to not do any research on their own. However, there's nothing that the court can do to prevent them from doing that, and if there is media allowed to report on the story, I think it would just increase the likelihood that somebody would either intentionally or accidentally come across the story and read about the alleged charges here.
Wait, so are you asking for an order just not to film, or that they not be allowed to report on it?
My request
Because that's a prior restraint that the court just cannot do in any case for any reason.
My request, to be clear, was just to not allow the media to film Ms. Smith. If the court is inclined to allow the media to film, our alternative request is to require that the media be instructed to only film Ms. Smith from the shoulders down.
Understood. Thank you.
Judge Joe Campagna denied her motion.
The media has a right to be here and to film. I don't find that there's anything particular about this case that would warrant the court restricting that for this hearing and in this case. But certainly, as I said, you can explore all those topics if and when this matter is called for trial.
Downs remains in jail on $215,000 bail. $75,000 of that is for a fugitive warrant out of Oregon. She's charged there with 16 counts of organized retail theft, aggravated theft, and theft.
At the end of the day, we're hoping that we're preventing crime here in Bellevue because, we know it's not a matter of if they're going to come to Bellevue, it's when.
As for her mom, Janeice Wiley, she posted $50,000 bail and was released. Her case from the Lululemon thefts in 2024 is still pending trial.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure how you are preventing crime when you continue to let these people out of prison, right? They go to prison and then you let them out. How are you preventing crime? You're not doing anything but encouraging it, right? They're doing it because they know that they can get away with it. And clearly they feel so confident that they post on social media bragging about being scammers. And for whatever reason, you continue to give them a slap on the wrist, right? Since they want to dress up like Muslims, right? Maybe, just maybe, they deserve that type of punishment. The alleged punishment that some people get for stealing in Muslim countries, right? If you can't keep your hands off of other people's stuff, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't have hands, right? that will solve the problem. Again, if we actually started punishing people thoroughly for these crimes instead of slaps on the wrist, you wouldn't see it, right? These criminals wouldn't be so emboldened to do stuff like this and then brag about it on social media. Again, it's kind of wild, but let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.